Raise your right hand. That's what I'm taking you about the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
That's it. State spell your first and last name, of course, please.
Thomas Burnett. Oh, ThomasBurnette.
Good afternoon, Mr. Burnett. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Mr. Burnett, did you drive or fly here today?
Fly.
You're from another state?
Charlotte.
And what do you currently do for a living?
I'm a service consultant at an Infinity dealership in Charlotte.
And what was the first year that you began working for Infinity?
1997.
What did you do when you first began working for Infinity in 1997?
I was a valet. I was a valet while I was going through college.
And in that capacity, would you drive Infinity cars?
Yes.
After that, where did you end up? Did you ever end up getting a degree?
Yes.
Where did you get your degree?
DeVry University.
And what was your degree in?
Business administration.
Did you get that here in the state of Georgia?
Yes.
Now, after when you first were working as a valet, what was the next job that you had after getting your degree?
With Infinity or just the next job period?
Next job period.
I was in furniture sales.
What did you do after that?
I went back to Infinity.
What drew you back to Infinity? How did you end up back working for them?
Just a familiarity. I had a relationship with the manager at the store, and they kind of asked me to. It was an opportunity, so I went back.
Now, when you went to Infinity this time, what was your job position?
Currently, what I do, a service consultant.
Now, can you explain for the jury what is a service consultant? What all do you do?
I meet with the clients or customers that come in for maintenance or repairs on the vehicle. I assess what the vehicle needs, whether it's check engine light on or a leak or no starting issue. I basically get the information from the client and put that in a manner so where the technicians can properly diagnose the vehicle. Once it's diagnosed, I reach out to the client and let them know what repairs are needed and gain the authorization to fix the car, and then basically handle the client throughout the process on updating them, let them know when the car is ready, payment, etc.
Now, as a service consultant, with what all you just described in terms of your job, what all you do in that job, do you have to have familiarity with the makes and models of Infinity?
Yes.
Can you explain for the jury how you gain familiarity with Infinity makes and models as a service consultant?
Well, we have to do certification tests quarterly to make sure we're certified. And then, also just being around the vehicles, you learn and pick up certain common things about the cars. And you have to identify certain things with them to know what year it is, what kind of type of oil it takes. So when you quote them prices, you quote them accurately. So
now, as a service consultant, is your primary focus, is it true or false that you're focused on the clients that come in?
Mainly, yes. Yeah. Now,
to be an effective service consultant, with Infinity, do you have to understand the technician side of the business?
Yes, because I have to basically interpret as far as what the client is saying, as far as sometimes help the technician understand what the issue is. And then there's a lot of terms and expressions that technicians will explain to what's wrong with the car. And sometimes that's not always not customer friendly for us to understand what actually the issue. So sometimes I have to do some interpretation as far as making it a little easier to understand on what actually is going on with the vehicle. Now,
Mr. Burnett, jumping back to after you got your degree and you worked in, when you first went back to Infinity, what location were you working out of?
South Atlanta, Infinity of South Atlanta.
Is that one on 4201 Jonesboro Road?
Correct.
Now, what year was it that you?
2005.
And how long did you work at that location?
Till 2021, I'm sorry.
So roughly about 15 years?
Yes.
Now, over those 15 years, how often would you drive Infinity cars in any capacity?
Every day.
Would you drive them in both daylight and nighttime?
Yes, I currently own Infinity, and I've also owned Infinities from like 2007 on. So.
Do you get some perks working for Infinity in terms of owning an Infinity or buying one?
Yeah, we do get some discounts or consideration as far as what.
Now, what kind of vehicle do you currently drive?
Q50, Infinity Q50, 2020 Infinity Q50.
Now, since you've been working for Infinity, when did the Infinity Q50 first come on the market?
2014.
Now, when it first came on the market, how would you describe an Infinity Q50?
It's a sports sedan built on performance. It was pretty unique in design as far as at the time, as far as it had distinct features as far as the headlights, tail lights, the front grille were pretty distinctive at the time when it first came out.
Now, is there any Infinity model or make that is similar back in 2014 when the Q50s first came on the market?
No, there was a G37 sedan, but it looked completely different than the Q50. It wasn't really, it was a whole different design. So
now, is there any significance to the G37 in terms of the name of that car versus the Q50?
No.
In terms of the lettering or numbering?
Oh, well, like as far as the G37 was basically named after the engine size. So the 37 is how Infinity used to distinguish what size engine was in the car. When the Q50 came out, it was the beginning of the rebadging to where all the same models that basically had the same. So a Q50 is the sedan, the four-door sedan. A Q60 would be the two-door car. And then they identify the engine size by the callus on the side of the car, whether it's a 2.0 engine or a 3.0 or 3.7 back when it first came out in 14.
Now, you have described a decal on the side of the Infinity Q50. Is that unique to that make and model?
Pretty unique. You don't see it a lot on other makes. Most makes don't identify what engine size is in the car by any type of badging on the side.
So previously, Infiniti, you would know the engine size based on
The name.
the name, and then after that, they put a visual indication of the engine size.
Correct. Yeah, they were kind of tired of changing names every time a new engine came out. So it went from like G35 to G37, and then it stopped, and then they just changed the badge on all the cars to Q.
That makes sense. Now, are all the makes and models in the Infiniti fleet start with Q?
Correct. Yeah, the cars are Q, and then the SUVs are QX.
Now, you were working for Infiniti in 2014 when the Q50 first came out.
Yes.
Has the Infiniti Q50, does it have a sunroof?
Yes. Pretty much probably 80% of the models, or maybe even higher, have a sunroof. The only ones that don't have a sunroof are the Q50As, and that's on the back of the car. You'll see the A, and that was kind of like the base entry level car, which we didn't sell very many of those cars because dealerships wouldn't order them because they knew they wouldn't sell them. So
now, when you said when you went back in 2005, you worked till 2020. What did you do after leaving the South Atlanta Infiniti in 2020?
I moved to a few dealerships around. Initially, I took a job as a service manager at a Nissan store in LaGrange, Georgia. That didn't quite work out, so I worked at the Nissan in Morrow. Then I went back to Infiniti, different location. I was at the Cobb County location, Nally. And then I worked for Lexus for a short period of time before the Infiniti South Atlanta store asked me to come back. And that was in last year.
So you kind of went full circle back to that South Atlanta Infiniti?
Yes.
How did that come about?
I was up there getting an oil change on my car, and the manager that was kind of like the consultant there at the time, he was just working part-time, he was retired. Him and the current manager asked if I was interested in coming back. I had still a lot of clients that would come to the store asking for me and stuff. So they asked if I had any interest in coming back, and it lined up with what I needed at the time, so I went back.
Now, what do you like about working for Infiniti over these years?
I like taking care of customers. I also like the product.
Hang on just a second. If you hear somebody say objection, will you just pause for a minute while I deal with that? Sustain.
Yes.
Now, yes, Your Honor. Mr. Burnett, I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 459 Yankee and 459 Yankee Alpha. And again, defense counsel is.
No, first if these other exhibits from the same showroom.
Your Honor, hand in the witness both 459 Yankee and 459 Yankee Alpha. Mr. Burnett, what are 459 Yankee and 459 Yankee Alpha?
Both pictures of a Infiniti Q50.
How are you able to recognize them?
The shape of the vehicle, the headlights are pretty distinctive. The front grille and the tail lights are also pretty distinctive. And it also says Q50 on the back of the picture there as well too.
And for your testimony to the jury, would using 459 Yankee and 459 Yankee Alpha aid you in describing a Q50 for the jury? Aid your testimony?
Do you mean that he's helped with this?
Yes.
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state is tendering 459 Yankee and 459 Yankee Alpha for demonstrative purposes.
All right, those are admitted as demonstratives.
Publishing States Exhibit 459 Yankee. Now, Mr. Burnett, earlier when you were describing a Q50, what is the most significant physical aspects of this make and model?
You mean like what makes it stand out?
Correct.
I'd probably say the headlights on the front grille.
Now, currently, so you've also had an Infiniti Q50, you said, since 2020?
Correct.
How has, since it came on the market in 2014 to present day, has the shape or the vehicle itself changed much?
Not much at all.
Overruled.
Now, Mr. Burnett, does your Infiniti Q50 2020 how does the front emblem look? Is it any different in terms of lighting?
There's some options on the newer versions of it, like 16 and up, where it lights up at night when the headlights are on.
Was that a feature when it first came on the market in 2014?
No.
Do you know when that lighting first came into Infiniti fleet?
In 2016, when they changed the engine sizes in the car. It went from a 3.7 to either a 2.0 or a 3.0.
Now, 459 Yankee are the rims on the tires. Is that standard, not standard? How would you describe those?
Those are standard wheels on it. There's two options. There's the 19s and the 18s. And some have, well, it's three. So 17s, 18s, and 19s. Looking at it, those appear to be the 18-inch wheels that are on.
Now, Mr. Burnett, earlier you mentioned about when Infiniti got away from naming the cars off the engine size, that they had a decal. Is that correct?
Correct.
Can you show the jury, if you see it, is that decal visible in 459 Yankee?
Yes. If you go just slightly back from the front wheel, you can see a silver kind of spot or kind of there. That's actually the decal that's on it.
Mr. Burnett, I'm going to move this mouse. You tell me if I'm getting closer.
Keep going.
Okay. Same direction?
Yeah. You're right there at it now.
That is the decal that indicates the engine size?
That's right.
Now, turning to 459 Yankee Alpha, can you describe for the jury what stands out to you in terms of it is different about the Infiniti Q50 compared to other Infiniti makes and models?
Just the shape of the tail lights are a little different than some of the other models are. They kind of mirror the headlights where they're kind of a little more kind of sunken into the body of the car.
And what do you all have certain naming conventions for the colors that the cars may come in?
Yes. This particular color is diamond graphite.
Now, when did you leave what was your last job in the state of Georgia before you left?
I was service consultant at South Atlanta, the Jonesboro location.
And when you moved to North Carolina, did you work with an Infiniti company there?
Same role, yes. Just in Charlotte, yes.
Now, back in March of 2016, what location were you working in for Infiniti?
Union City, the 4201 Jonesboro, Infiniti of South Atlanta.
Now, do you recall a time where any law enforcement personnel ever came by that location when you were working to interact with you?
Vaguely. There was, and I don't remember the exact date or time, but there were some officers that came in. They were directed towards me. At the time, I was like the assistant manager or lane manager, sometimes we'll call it. And I think one of my other employees pointed in my direction. They had some photos or like a poster board of a car. And they just kind of asked some questions about what type of car it was. And there may have been a few other questions. I don't recall what they were. And then they were like, hey, we're just part of an investigation. We'll probably contact at some point.
Now, Mr. Burnett, do you have any independent memory of what kind of car the vehicle was that they showed you in those photographs?
Not in 2016. No.
Okay. Now, I want to publish, Your Honor, what's already been admitted as 296 Yankee, and the state's going to start the publishing at 8 minutes and 30 seconds.
All right.
Mr. Burnett, while that's getting set up,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
in
Didn't know you-
preparation for your testimony, have you?
Hang on just a
sorry,
second. I don't see anybody waiting.
Have you more recently than 2016 reviewed some surveillance video and photographs for your trial testimony?
Yes.
Your Honor, publishing State's Exhibit 296 Yankee at 8 minutes and 29 seconds.
All right.
Mr. Burnett, if you can, just watch this screen.
Okay.
Pausing. Now, Mr. Burnett was, I know that clip was quick. I'm going to publish 292 Yankee Hotel, which is already admitted. Now, is that surveillance video clip that you just watched, have you reviewed that before testifying in court here today?
Yes.
And what vehicle was depicted in 292 Yankee between 8 minutes and 30 seconds and 8 minutes and 40 seconds?
It was Infiniti Q50.
Now, I'm going to briefly on the screen, what's going to be published is 292 Yankee Hotel. Let me know when you can see that. Is this a still frame from the surveillance video that we just watched a moment ago?
No. Yes, it looks the same.
Now, can you describe for the jury what stood out to you about being able to identify this as an Infiniti Q50?
The headlights, the way they appear, you also can see the black grille, and it's kind of hard on this one, but as it gets closer, you can see like a little bit of the logo, like the silver reflected in the front grille area.
And when you mean when it gets closer, you mean when
It starts to come, I guess, closer to where before it goes off the screen.
publishing, Your Honor, what's already been admitted as 292 Yankee Indigo. Now, Mr. Burnett, is this also I know it's currently blocked, but it's still framed from the surveillance video that we just watched?
Yeah, that still seems to be the same car, the Q50.
Now, what I'm going to do, Mr. Burnett, is I'm going to replay 292 Yankee at 8:30. You tell me when to stop when you had mentioned the silver emblem, right, as the car gets closer, in your words. So I'm going to play 292 Yankee, start at 8 minutes and 30 seconds, and you just tell me when to stop when you think it would be helpful to see that.
Sorry, it's real quick.
It's all right. I'm going to publish 292 Yankee Juliet. What's already been admitted as 292 Yankee Juliet.
You can almost see the reflection of it right in that screen there.
And when you had described, and by the reflection of it, do you mean, what do you mean by that?
Almost like where I guess the lights or the street lights or whatever are reflecting off of it.
And
you can kind of, like, if you look in between the headlights, you can see there's something there. It's not black like the rest of the grill is.
And you mean the front part of that Infiniti Q50?
Yeah, the logo that's in the front of it.
And when you had mentioned is this almost basically, when you said as the vehicle gets closer, as it's driving off screen, when you reviewed this surveillance video, at what point from where the car currently is to when it's off screen, did you notice that?
Originally, right, well, when you originally played it the very first time we spoke about it, I noticed it pretty quickly. Honestly, the very first time I looked at it, I was looking at the car. I didn't even see what was going on the side. And then the second time you read it back, I saw all the other stuff that was going on with it. So, I mean, as you recall, when I first saw it, I was like, well, that's a Q50. And you were like, how do you know that's a Q50? And we kind of went through the same. I was like, headlights to the grill and same thing. And then also the tail lights, you can kind of see as it's taking off.
Now, thank you, Mr. Burnett. Now, since March of 2016, when law enforcement came and spoke to you, to present day today, do you have any other knowledge or information or any information about this case that the surveillance video is involved with?
No.
Mr. Burnett, I'm also going to publish 292 Yankee starting at 10 minutes and 40 seconds through 10 minutes and 47 seconds. It's gonna, it's close. Yeah. Mr. Burnett, that surveillance video that we saw, have you seen that angle before?
Today I saw it.
Okay. In preparation for your testifying. And in that, what car do you see in 296 Yankee between 10 minutes and 40 seconds until when we paused it at 10 minutes and 48 seconds?
It's the same car from before, just a different angle. It's like we're seeing more of the back end of it.
Earlier, you had mentioned the quarterly training that you've gotten since working in Infiniti. Can you describe what that entails for the jury?
So anytime there's any new models or any new features or anything that's been added to the cars, they will have to go through certification tests on them. It could be modular, so where we have to do like interactive videos and answer questions at the end, or it could just be an article that we have to review and then go back and answer questions. It just depends. Usually on a brand new model, it's more interactive stuff because they want to make sure that you're following along and know what's going on. You'll just skip straight to the test. But sometimes with some of the refresher stuff, like if it's just a specification change, like the engine size or new wheel package or something, it'll just be like some articles that we just read and then answer the questions based off of that.
One brief moment, Your Honor. Ms. Burnett, when the Infiniti Q50 came out on the market, when was the first time that you drove it? Did you ever drive a 2014 Infiniti Q50?
Yes, it was, besides customers coming in, we also had them as loaner cars. So that was one of our main cars we used as loaner vehicles. So we were constantly pulling them up, getting customers in and out of their stuff. And so yes, I've driven them a lot of times.
And what aspect of the Infiniti Q50 made you choose to buy it in 2020?
The size, the performance of it. It's a pretty fast vehicle, has a lot of power. And from my standpoint, it's also pretty reliable because, again, I see what goes wrong and with them. So that's what kind of drew me to it.
Now, the dealerships or the locations you've worked at for Infiniti, have those all been classified as dealerships?
Yes.
And is your customer either primarily or exclusively people buying a car for themselves? Brief indulgence, Your Honor.
All right.
In terms of, do you have any familiarity with Infiniti vehicles being sold to rental car companies?
So they would buy directly from, so they buy Hertz Enterprise, they buy directly from the manufacturer. Now we do see them when they come in for recalls and that sort of stuff. So they do bring or if there's warranty repairs that need to be done on them, Hertz Enterprise, they do bring cars to us for us to service. So, but like far as purchasing wise, they buy them directly from the manufacturer.
And Mr. Burnett, what is your favorite physical attribute of the 2014 Q50?
I'm going to object that's irrelevant.
Sustained.
I would too, Your Honor. That's why. With that said, Your Honor, the state does not have any more questions for Mr. Burnett. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Are there any defense questions for this witness?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. One of the last things you said was that the rental companies, I think first you mentioned, sometimes brought their cars in to be serviced at the locations you work at, correct?
Correct, because we're close by the airport, so we would get a lot of those cars brought in. So,
do you have any personal interaction with any car, any Q50 that would have been brought into your dealership back in January or February of 2015?
I wouldn't be able to recollect that.
And you would not have been the one to observe or look at or inspect any vehicles brought in from us anyway, would you?
Only thing I would do was check it in, which basically would mean getting the mileage, VIN plate off of it, and doing like a walk around for damage. That would be my end as far as inspecting it.
Okay. But in 2015, was it 2015 or 16 when the Atlanta police came to talk to you about Infinitis?
I don't actually remember the exact date.
You have a real memory, no clear memory of when that was, right?
No, not the date, no.
Okay. Is it fair to say that when they came to see you, though, they didn't bring an actual vehicle with them for you to look at or offer your opinion on, right?
No, they were like photos.
They were photos. The images that you just saw, I'm going to ask the state's indulgence in a bit to put some of those back up again. You would agree with me, though, that those photos.
Who got sound effects issues on their bingo board?
All right,
We're good.
those black and white images, right?
It's some crisp fruits. That's what the
The
problem
photos
is.
they brought in,
Okay,
or
well, the photos that you were just looking at, in the video you just looked at, still shot, and then the two videos, one of the car rolling forward from the front, the other from the back.
well, the photos here are color. The ones that they.
That's it up.
You may.
All right. Right, so these, and I'm going to reference for the record 459 and 459A. These are the photographs that were presented to you from the state a little while ago, right?
Correct.
Right. Now, that's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about the video that you were looking at, that the state played. Would you agree that was a black and white video?
I don't know if I would classify it as black and white. It wasn't the greatest of quality of video, but I would
That's
say it was
worse.
black and white.
Okay, so do it again. Tonight, would you be kind enough, please, to put up what the state has marked as 292YI? Yankee Indigo, I guess.
It's sepia time. Like, are we really having a conversation about
Can you
it?
see what's on the screen in front of you, Mr. Burnett?
Yes.
Now, you read 292YI, that's the image that you looked at before, correct?
Yes.
You're not able to tell what the color of that vehicle is, are you?
I can tell it's a grayish color. I mean, just like the color, the car that's behind the white one appears to be like a reddish color.
Okay, so let's see, are you gonna tell me that that vehicle that you said is an Infiniti is a, what did you say, was a diamond graphite color vehicle?
Could I say it from the picture? No, I mean, from this, no, I couldn't say it was diamond graphite, but I could say it's grayish in shade though.
You said that you recognize this as an Infiniti because of your familiarity with Infinitis, correct?
Correct.
Now, to be clear, you're not a scientific expert, right?
No.
You've not been qualified as an expert in Infinitis identification of vehicles, true?
Oh no, he says
No,
Infiniti.
toxins, no.
Okay. You've not been qualified in a court of law as an expert in identification of vehicles.
Never been to court before or anything for it, but as far as an expert in knowing Infinitis, I probably would say yes, I know all the models.
Okay. Tell me whether or not that vehicle that you're looking at, the one that you've identified as an Infiniti Q50, has standard size wheels or non-standard wheels on it as you described earlier.
Told you.
But we're talking about the screen, not the pictures, right?
Go on screen.
You can barely see the wheels from this.
All right. Looking at that image that the state showed you that's on the screen right now, tell me where you see on that there is an Infinity emblem or insignia on the front grill.
This one doesn't capture it. They tried to roll it forward to where you can see that there is something silver in it, but technically they couldn't stop it at the right time.
You said technically you don't see it at all, do you?
Not in this frame, no.
And in fact, when you were describing the image you said earlier, what you saw earlier, you said that you can almost see it. I'm saying that?
Correct.
All right. Looking at this vehicle on the screen, are you able to tell whether or not there's any damage to the front bumper or fender of that vehicle? Is those been some sort of accident of some sort?
Not on the screen, no.
Are you able to see anyone, if there's anyone hanging out of the sunroof?
Not from this angle, no.
I'm curious, do you know whether or not the 2014 Infinity Q50s have, I'm gonna use one star. I don't know if there's another name for tracking.
It's Infinity Connect, yes.
That's a tracking system.
Correct.
Do you know whether all the Infinity Q50s had tracking software in it that would allow you to track the car and tell you where the car is at a given time?
They have the capability, but there's a subscription that has to be paid for it to be able to do it. So if the subscription isn't paid, then it's not active for us where you can track it at the time.
Okay. You testified earlier, and I'm still referencing the images up on the screen, right? You testified earlier about there being an emblem on the side of the Infinity Q50 that's loaded behind the front wheel. Right? You remember that testimony?
Yeah, but that was off of the picture though.
So put the picture aside right now and just looking at the image that was shown to you by the state. And this is the same image that was shown to you back in 2015, right?
No, they just had pictures. They had like pictures that came back in, and there was no videos or anything then.
Okay. So you can see you in 2015, didn't show you this video?
No.
Okay. So look at the video that you see right now, that you've identified. Look at that car. Point out to me where that emblem on the side of the vehicle is that tells us it's an Infinity.
You can't see it from this angle. Not on the video.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear, I'm understanding that point correctly. 2015, APD comes to you and they show you some still shots of a vehicle.
Correct.
And they ask you to tell them whether or not it's an Infinity or not.
They asked basically to identify what kind of vehicle it was.
And just so I'm clear, for the still shots that they showed you, still shots from this video?
I honestly don't know where the pictures. I mean, that was 15, 16 when they came. I honestly don't know where they got the pictures from.
They never told you, right?
No, they basically said that that there may be some further questions they may ask, and they'd be in contact, and that was that.
Was that the only time that they came to ask you anything about any Infinities?
Yes, I didn't hear anything about it again until April or May. I think they reached out. I guess they still had my number on file from when initially I did the interview, and they called and asked if I remembered it. And I honestly didn't remember a whole lot of it at the time. As we talked further into it, some of it started to come back, but I didn't remember what kind of call was involved or any of that until I actually saw the video that they played for me.
When you say they called, were we talking about the DA's office? Or?
Yes.
You didn't talk to anyone from the DA's office back in 2015?
No, I would assume it was just a local police. They were in uniform, so.
Police officer?
Yes.
First time that you've seen that video, and when I say that video, I'm going to refer to 292YJ. I think that's the one that you said you saw from, it's the back view of the vehicle?
Yes, the store or whatever. It looked like a store or something from what I could see.
Ms. Knight, could you kindly please put up 292YJ for me? Video. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Let me correct that. That's 296Y at timestamp 840, 847. Let me confirm that the record. That's exhibit 292 Yankee Delta. Did you see the image that it went across the screen, Mr. Burnett?
Yes.
wait, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Would that be correct? If I was to say that back in 2015, no one was looking to an actual first location to look at any Infinity?
No.
And won't be able to image Mr. Burnett? Ms. Burnett, I want you to pay attention to the distance between 840 and 847, okay?
Okay.
See that car driving past?
Yep.
That is the car that you took a look at today. It was the first day you saw this video, right?
This one, yes.
And the testimony is that based on that vehicle passing by in the video, the 840, 847, you can recognize that as an Infiniti Q50, as an Infiniti Q50, all right?
Correct, yes.
And it was really good that even that image, as it went by, you didn't see any Infiniti emblem on the side of it.
No.
You didn't see any Infiniti emblem on the back of it. Right?
No.
You didn't see anything that looked like damage to either the front or the fender of the vehicle, right?
No.
You didn't see anybody hang on to the sunroof or window, right?
No.
So lights on the car.
Yes.
And you saw that it was a car.
Yes.
Thanks, sir. That's all.
Any other defense attorneys?
Very good.
To this witness? All right, is there any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Ms. Burnett, when law enforcement came to meet you, did they ask you if it was a Infiniti or ask you if it was what car it was that you were looking at?
They just asked me to identify the car, the vehicle.
And since you and I have spoken or met, you always lived in the state,
Yes.
and previously when we were able to speak, was Zoom with one another. This is the first day you met in person. You flew in today.
Correct.
Ms. Burnett, I'm going to try. So to slow this video down. So the state's going to publish 292 Yankee Alpha. It's going to go at a slower pace. And if you see, Ms. Burnett, where you want to freeze it, and you spot the on the front grill, just let me know.
Okay.
It's funny because they sent him a still shot picture of the car, and now he's being asked if the car that he saw in the still shot is this one he sees in the video. And I was like, I don't think they are. I don't think it's conclusive at all. What do you think? What do you think?
So, Your Honor, for the purposes of the record, we're starting at 8 minutes and 32 seconds on 292 Yankee Alpha. Mr. Burnett, did that help any slowing it down, Mr. Burnett?
Not really.
That's fair. That's fair. Now, some of the questions, do you remember being on cross-examination, you were asked questions about, can you see the decal or can you tell about the tires? Do you recall that?
Yeah. What questions you asked? Yes.
Yeah. And with this surveillance video that you've seen, is it that they don't exist or you're unable to give an answer on those questions because of the surveillance video?
This
calls for speculation.
Overruled.
You may answer, Mr. Burnett.
Okay. Of course, the wheels and those things exist on it, and you know it's a Q50, so it's kind of hard to. Being that I know the vehicle, it's kind of hard to know. Okay, that's a Q50, and I know where everything is on it at. But trying to necessarily make it fit into the video where I can say stop right here, I see it. It's kind of a little hard to do in real time. And for the court style, I don't know if we got this time to start just dissecting and stopping it every 2 seconds to see if we can get to there. But again, I've seen the pictures. I drive a Q50, so I know what actually is on the vehicle and where it's located at. But as far as trying to using this quality of video, as far as to stop it, it's kind of hard to do.
Drop the type of car you have in the chat. Just drop the model number, or model name.
Thank you, Mr. Burnett. The state has no further questions for Mr. Burnett.
All right, Mr. Adams.
They may have a couple more questions for you, sir.
Oh, sorry.
They're almost done, but not quite.
So, Mr. Bennett,
Yes, sir.
so even though in the still shots and videos that we've seen, right, we don't see the identifying item that you mentioned. We don't see the decal, right?
Not in the video. No.
We don't see the the emblem on the Infinity emblem on the front.
Not in the video, no.
We can't identify whether it's standard size wheels or what kind of wheel that you referenced before, right?
Not in the video, no, sir.
So even though we can't see any of the things that you say will identify something as Infinity, your testimony is that you know that it's an Infinity Q50.
Right, so this is not the same car? Like,
You tell me, is that the same car?
it looks like the same car in the video. It's a Q50.
No, he just said that.
So you're thinking that 459 and 459A, which has been given to you by the
Wow.
state, you believe that this is the same car that's been shown in that video.
That's the video is definitely a Q50, yes.
Okay, you think it's this car?
It appears to be, as far as the color and everything else appears to be, but
Wow.
Does this
again, these are all standard things. It's not like this is it has custom wheels on it or it has a custom grill. Those are all the standard things.
Show 'em the
on the car.
maximum.
So every Infinity has the grill. I mean, has the logo on the grill. Every Infinity has a badge on the side. Those are the standard headlights. Those are standard tail lights.
right?
So if it's a Q50, then it has those things. So
So every Infinity has that that emblem on the grill that we can't see on the video, right?
Q50, yes.
Every Q50 has that emblem on the side that we can't see on the video, right?
Correct.
Every Infinity has maybe standard, maybe not standard wheels that we can't see on the video, right?
Correct.
But your testimony to this jury is that these pictures given to you by the state, the same vehicle that's on that video.
Correct.
All right, that's all.
I wonder would he have said this without.
Now you're free to go.
I wonder would he have said he's a Q50 without being
All right,
told
and
he's
it's
a
just
Q50.
about 5 o'clock.
Yo, hit that like for deal with Christian. Yo, for deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian. For deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian.